Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. I just put the verse on the TV. It's the wrong verse. It's from today's morning class. So I'll just correct that quickly. Normally there's someone else who does this, but I'm just doing it myself today. Haribol. Okay, so Hare Krishna everyone. So right now in the temple room we'll be having a class on the Bhagavad Gita. As I mentioned before, this is the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and it's an important book for everyone to read and study because it establishes for us the goal of life, how to reach that goal, who we are, who is the Supreme Being, how do we navigate this material world. So all the important questions that one might have in this life, it's all answered in this Bhagavad Gita. So we should really, really try and study this. So I encourage you all, everyone in the temple room, if you can, stay around, stick around, please do take a seat and we'll be discussing some things from the Bhagavad Gita. Yes. So today we're reading from chapter 10, which is entitled The Opulence of the Absolute, and we're reading verse 39. So I'll just read the verse and then we'll go through the synonyms and translation and purport, and then we'll have a discussion like that. Okay, so everyone can see on the TV. Yachapi sarvabhutanam bijam tadaham arjuna na tadasti vina yatshyan maya bhutam characharam. Yachapi sarvabhutanam bijam tadam aham arjuna na tadasti vina yatshyan maya bhutam characharam. Yachapi sarvabhutanam bijam tadaham arjuna na tadasti vina yatshyan maya bhutam characharam. So I'll just skip the word for word since just the translation of this text. So Krishna is saying here, furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. And purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Everything has a cause, and that cause or seed of manifestation is Krishna. Without Krishna's energy, nothing can exist. Therefore, He is called omnipotent. Without His potency, neither the movable nor the immovable can exist. Whatever existence is not founded on the energy of Krishna is called Maya, that which is not. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utabat Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Itam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll just recite the Sanskrit once more. It's up on the board. Yachapi sarvabhutanam bijam tadaham arjuna na tadasti vina yachan maya bhutam characharam. And translation. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna everyone, we're going to be having a class here. So please, if you're available, if you're free to listen, please do take a seat and we can discuss some topics from the Bhagavad Gita. So yes, in today's verse, Krishna is saying, furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. So today's chapter that we're reading from is entitled The Opulence of the Absolute. In Sanskrit, this is called, all the chapters in the Bhagavad Gita actually have Sanskrit titles. So today, this chapter 10, is actually entitled Vibhuti Yoga. Yoga the word yoga actually means to connect, and vibhuti is in reference to the opulences of the Lord. So when we say Vibhuti Yoga, chapter 10 Vibhuti Yoga, that means this chapter is detailing the process of yoga, or the process of connection to the Lord via the appreciation of the Lord's opulences. So in this chapter, basically Krishna, he is discussing his many different unlimited opulences to Arjuna. And then in this particular verse, text 39, in text 39, Krishna is saying that without his energy, basically nothing can exist. I am the generating seed of all existences. There's no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. So he is explaining, he's explaining that he is the seed of all existences, and that he is the basis of reality. He's the fabric of all reality. Generally, most people's conception of God is somewhat hierarchical. They consider just God to be the supreme being, like the best amongst men, the best amongst beings. So generally we have, like, say, I might be better than one person, that person might be better than another person might be better than me, another person might be better than that person, but Krishna is the best of all. He's the supreme being. And so that understanding is correct, that yes, Krishna is the supreme being, but it's not a complete understanding, because it suggests that God can be replaced. That if someone becomes great, if someone can become better than others, then he could displace God. He could be considered God-like. Isn't it true that in kind of nowadays Western culture, when someone becomes great at something, they think of themselves very God-like? Nowadays, pop artists or football players, they consider themselves to be very God-like because they become great at something. So that understanding is correct, but it's not complete, that Krishna is the supreme, is the best amongst all beings. Krishna is not just the supreme being, but he is the being without whom nothing could exist. Like he says here, I am the generating seed of all existences. There's no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. He's saying here he's the basis of reality. He's the fabric of reality. But sometimes this is confusing for people, right? Because we see Krishna, you can see Krishna on the altar now, on the left side, and Krishna is in a human form, and he's a cowherd boy. You see many depictions of Krishna with the cows, with the cowherd boy when he's with other boys, and they're running around chasing the cows or having different pastimes. And so people might say, well, how possibly could you think that a cowherd boy, Krishna, is the supreme being? How is that person the fabric of reality? So they take this notion of God's otherness, his supremacy, in relation to living entities too far. For example, sometimes we meet on the streets people of Islamic faith. I've met sometimes some people from Islamic faith, and they say, how can you attribute human qualities to God? How can you say God can take the shape of a cowherd boy? God is supreme. That you can't attribute such qualities to God. So they claim that because Krishna is so supreme, that God is so supreme, he is so different from us, that all depictions of God that look like us humans are misrepresentations. That's what they think. So then therefore they place him beyond representation. They don't give him a form. So many different religions, God doesn't have a form, because he's so kind of supreme, so his otherness is so great that they don't give him a form. But then, of course, for devotees, this is less appealing, because it makes it near impossible to love him tangibly. Therefore, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita here, he's saying to avoid this confusion, he's trying to make God not too distant, not too remote. And Krishna is answering Arjun's questions about how God can be remembered in this world. So Arjun in verse 17, I'll bring it up. Arjun in this verse, he says, Katam vidyam aham yogins tvam sada parichintayan keshu keshu cha bhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan maya. He says, O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? And so then Krishna in this chapter, after hearing Arjun's question, he proceeds to list all of his different opulences. This chapter is entitled The Opulence of the Absolute. So he starts to list all the different impressive manifestations in nature, both huge things and powerful beings, and he declares them to be non-different from God. For example, we can go together. Verse 17, and then he goes on to say, I am the Super Soul, O Arjun, seated in the hearts of all living entities. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. And then another example, he says, of all trees, I am the banyan tree. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. So there's many different examples he's giving for us. Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of the wielders of weapons, I am Ram. Of the fishes, I am Shark. Of the flowing rivers, I am Ganges. Like this. And of seasons, I am the flower-bearing spring. So like this, Krishna is answering Arjun's questions about how can I meditate on you? He answers that by declaring all these different things and saying that they're non-different from him. So through these descriptions in this chapter, through describing his opulences, he's establishing his foundational position in this world, that he is the basis of reality, that without him, nothing can exist. So if we go back to today's verse, furthermore, O Arjun, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. So here Krishna is basically offering us a very holistic understanding of God, which ultimately encourages our devotion for him. Let me just skip this part. I was going to say... Maybe I'll say it. So this is Krishna. By giving his opulences, he's giving us a very holistic understanding of him, and he's therefore encouraging our devotion for him. And so this is an important lesson for us, because we need to be able to climb down. There's a concept called the ladder of abstraction. So, which is that there's some ideas that are very lofty, very abstract, and there's some ideas that are very concrete and very grounding. And so we could say at the bottom of the ladder of abstraction, we have Krishna, the cowherd boy in Vrindavan. That's the bottom rung of the ladder. It's a very grounded idea, right? That there's a cowherd boy, and his name is Krishna, and he plays with the other cowherd boys, and they herd the cows, and they have different numerous pastimes with the gopis. And so that's a very grounded idea. Even still, it might be abstract for some, but it's very grounded. But at the top of the ladder, the very abstract rung of the ladder, there's the concept that God is the essence of everything, that he's the generating seed of all existences. So we have these two ends of the ladder: a very grounded idea that Krishna is a cowherd boy, and then a top of the ladder, the idea that God is just the fabric of reality. So as devotees, we should be able to climb up and down this ladder, that we should be able to move between these two ideas to reach a more holistic view of the Lord. Because, for example, if we stay too much on the top level of abstraction, where we're only focusing on the idea that God is the seed of all existence, that He's the basis of reality, then we may think that depictions of God in a human form are misrepresentations, and that's where other kind of faiths may falter. They don't. As I said, in Islam, they don't give Krishna that human form. They don't give God, the human form. They place Him beyond representation. So, like this, in this chapter, Krishna is listing His opulences, so it's easier for us to meditate upon Him, so that we can have a more balanced view of Him. And so, as I showed you here, Arjun is asking question, and Krishna is answering all of the questions. And this is the process of the Bhagavad Gita question and answer book. And the knowledge he's giving here, as I mentioned, it was prompted by this question in verse 17, which I'll pull up again. Arjun asks, he says, Tvam sada parichintayan katham vidyam aham yogims keshu keshu chabhaveshu chintyosi bhagavan mayam. He says, O Krishna, O Supreme Mystic, how shall I constantly... Normally I have someone else doing the board. How shall I constantly think of you, and how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead? So like this is actually a very nice question that Arjun is asking, because he's expressing his desire for Krishna. If he wants to know Krishna, he wants to love Him, and he wants to serve Him. And he ultimately wants to intensify his remembrance of Him, which is the greatest source of happiness. And so that is the mood of the devotees, that they always want to remember the Lord in all situations. Therefore, Queen Kunti, who is a great personality from the Mahabharata, she recites in her prayers, Tvaim enanya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvahata dada gangya vogam udanvati. She says, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. So it's very beautiful, Arjun's question, because he's expressing his love. He's desiring to know more about Krishna so that he may think of Him even more. Not that he's not thinking of Him, but he wants to think even more. So it's very beautiful. And so this is the process of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjun asking questions and Krishna answering them. And it's very important that we take shelter of this process, this question and answer. It's of great value, this process of making inquiries. In chapter 4, which is entitled Transcendental Knowledge, Krishna explains this to Arjuna. He says, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. He says, oh, Arjuna, just try to learn the truth by going to a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service to him. The self-realized souls, they'll be able to impart knowledge onto you because they've seen the truth. They're tattvadarshis. So because I've seen the truth, because the spiritual master has seen the truth, therefore he'll be able to reveal knowledge to you. So Krishna, through Arjuna, is telling us that we must make inquiries about the goal of life, the purpose of life, and we have to go through this to the spiritual master because they have seen the truth. But before that, in that chapter, Krishna also he relieves Arjuna's doubts about this knowledge. He first says, Imam Vishvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam. So he says, Aham, I instructed this knowledge to Vivashvan, to the sun god. So one might ask, well, all this knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita is all well and good, but where did it come from? Krishna says, Imam Vishvate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam. It came from me. He says, I was the one who instructed this knowledge to Vivashvan, the sun god, and then Vivashvan instructed it to Ikshvaku, and then it was passed down like that. And then someone may ask, well, okay, you've given all this knowledge, Krishna, but how do I know that this knowledge in this Bhagavad Gita that I have here, this copy of Bhagavad Gita, that's the same words that you said back then? Well, then Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajasyo vidu sakalene hamahata yoga nashta parantapa. He says that all this knowledge is being passed down through disciplic succession, through a chain of disciplic succession. Therefore, it's important for us that we take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's books, because he's in the chain of disciplic succession that leads all the way back to Krishna, all the way back to the root. In the Bhagavad Gita, I'll maybe try and find the page, but it lists the whole chain of disciplic succession and shows how this knowledge, there you go, there's a whole chain from Krishna to Brahma to Narada to Vyas, all the way down to then A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So that's how we can know that this knowledge is bona fide, that this knowledge is the same knowledge that Krishna spoke, because it's in the chain of disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam. And so then someone might ask, okay, that's all well and good, that's fine, but what qualification do I need to have to obtain the knowledge? How will this knowledge reach me? And then Krishna says again in chapter 4, Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prakta puratanaha bhakto si me sakha cheti rahasyam hyetad uttamam. He says, Bhakto si me sakha cheti. He says to Arjun, this science is being repeated to you because you're my devotee, you're my friend. So only when we become a devotee of the Lord, when we become friends with the Lord, will that knowledge be revealed to us. So this is the power of the Bhagavad Gita. It's very important for us to read, because it's answering so many questions. It's so great that it's answering all the questions, because before you've even asked them, it's that expert. So it's good that we gain knowledge, and like Arjun, it's good that we want to meditate on the Lord. He's asking Krishna, I want to meditate on you. How can I see you? And therefore we make inquiries, but that needs to be followed up by action, because the purpose of Krishna consciousness is not just to gain knowledge, but it's a call for action. It's a call to change your character. Srila Prabhupada said this Krishna consciousness movement is so powerful that it can turn swans, so it turned crows into swans. And so that's very hope-giving for some of us, because sometimes we do feel like crows, right? We have so many different kind of bad qualities, speaking personally. Obviously I don't know you all personally, but yeah, we can see, if we look within, we have so many bad qualities. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki. So yes, we can see that we have so many bad qualities, but it's very hope-giving what Srila Prabhupada says, because we do want to become swan-like. But that means that our behavior must change. It's not enough that we just come to the temple once a week, every Sunday, have some prasad, take darshan, look at the deities, and then that's it. We go back to normal life. That we just do some little sadhana, and then we go back to our normal ways. That's not enough. The behavior must change. The character must change. So in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the Bhagavad Gita. This is considered a foundational text in spirituality. The next text that one may read is the Srimad Bhagavatam, which details all the different pastimes, incarnations of the Lord, and different other concepts, creation, the heavenly the planetary systems. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam is detailed one pastime of Balaram. So Lord Balaram, as you may know, he didn't actually participate in the battle of Kurukshetra. He, for some reason, that's another story, but he didn't want to participate in the war. Instead, he went on pilgrimage. And so on his pilgrimage, he went to the forest of Naimisharanya. And in this forest of Naimisharanya, there was a great gathering of sages. And in this gathering of sages, there was one great sage called Ramaharshan Sutta, who was giving class. Now, if there's one sage who's giving class amongst a bunch of other great sages, he must be a really, really great sage, right? So Ramaharshan Sutta, he's sitting there on the Vyasasan, giving class to all these other sages. And then Lord Balaram walks into this forest, this assembly, and all the sages stand and pay respects. In Vedic culture, Haribol, in Vedic culture, it's appropriate that when someone senior comes before you, you stand up and you pay respects to them. So therefore, the sages they paid respects to him when Balaram walked in. But Varamaharshan Sutta, on the other hand, he did not stand up. He just continued to speak on the Vyasasan. And so this was actually a big offense. He didn't even recognize Lord Balaram. He didn't even stand up to acknowledge Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Balaram, as you may know, Balaram is a very fiery personality. And he got very angry. He said, Risher Bhagavata Bhutva Shishyo Ditya Bahunicha Setihas Puranani Dharma Shastrani Sarvashaha. He says, Risher Bhagavata Bhutva. He says, you're a disciple of Vyasadev. You're Ramaharshan Sutta, you're from such an exalted lineage. And then Setihas Puranani Dharma Shastrani Sarvashaha. You've studied the Itihas, Setihas, and then Puranani. You've studied the Puranas. And then Dharma Shastra. You've studied the Dharma Shastras, Sarvashaha, completely. So practically you've studied every single scripture there is under the sun, and you know it all. You have so much knowledge. But what's the net result of all your knowledge? Balaram then says, Adantasya avinintasya rita pandita manina na gunaya bhavanti sma na tasya eva jitatmanaha. Balaram said, you know all the scriptures, you've studied everything under the sun, but what's the net result of it all? Adantasya vinitasya. Neither you're self-controlled, neither you're mind-controlled, neither you have no humility whatsoever. You've studied so much, but you're just proud. He says, Rita Pandita Manana, you think you're a big scholar? Na gunaya bhavantisma, but all of your study never brought about any good qualities in your character. And then Balaram puts the final nail on the coffin. He says, Na tasya eva jitatmana. He says, therefore you're simply like a stage performer. So Balaram was very heavy with the Ramaharshan Sutta. And then so as the pastime goes, Balaram then took a kusha grass and he aimed it at Ramaharshan Sutta and killed him on the spot. So Balaram was very heavy with Ramaharshan Sutta. He was saying that you've learned so much knowledge, you've changed your dress, you've changed your activities, you've learned so many shlokas, you know so many things, you're coming to the temple, you're taking darshan, and we can actually we can look within ourselves and say, well, how have we changed? How have we changed? So Balaram was saying, you've changed your dress, you've changed your activities, you learned so many shlokas, but the net result of it was that your behavior was substandard. So you didn't change yourself as a person. Balaram is saying you didn't understand anything from what you were studying. So when we ask questions, when we try and gain knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita, that knowledge is meant to change us. It's not that we just gain knowledge for the sake of gaining knowledge, to just become a jnani. But that knowledge is meant to change our character, that we become more compassionate, we become more devoted to Krishna, that our lives become centered around Him, that everything we do is an offering for Him, that when we cook food, that we offer that food to Krishna, that when we go to work, we offer that work up for Krishna, that we come to the temple, we pray to Him, like that. So that this reading of Bhagavad Gita, this reading of this knowledge is meant to change us, change our behavior, like that. So I wanted to give some 3 practical things that everyone can do as a means of kind of making sure that our transformation is optimal. So these are the 3 A's for reading. So you can read with association, because when you read with the association of devotees, you'll be able to draw out the essence of those teachings, and then therefore you'll be able to get the blessings of those devotees. Because without the blessings of the devotees, those lessons won't penetrate your heart. It said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Atavasya padamboja makaranda lihamsatam kim anye rasadalaper ayusoya dasad vyayaha. Which means that the be-like devotees, they are accustomed to licking the honey from the lotus feet of the Lord. So we are trying to get the honey, we're trying to get the nectar, but instead of going to the flower, we're not very expert at getting the nectar from the flower, right? The honey from the flower. Rather, we should go to the bees who have already got the nectar. So this is what the meaning of this verse is, that we go to the be-like devotees who are accustomed to licking the nectar of the Lord from the lotus feet of the Lord. So athavasya padamboja makaranda lihamsatam. And Sanatan Goswami, one great Goswami from Vrindavan, he used to go to Mahaprabhu and he used to pray to Mahaprabhu's feet and he said, "You've given me so much knowledge, but now please give me your blessings so that knowledge may reach my heart." So that's the first lesson, reading with association. Then the second one is reading with application, the third A, reading with application. That after applying the teaching of the that when we read the Shastra, that we try and apply it to our lives, because life is all about bhakti, and that's where the real taste is. So it's only when we apply the teachings that we'll really taste the nectar. We can read these instructions, we can read this Bhagavad Gita, but it's only when we apply it will we be able to taste the nectar of the words. And then the third A is reading with amplification. So when we read, we try and share it with others, because as we share, then that realization will go deeper. Krishna will then empower us. He's saying that he'll see that this person is trying to share my glories, so let me empower him more. Let me allow that knowledge to reach his heart, like that. So those are the 3 A's: reading with association, reading with application, and then reading with amplification, like that. So these are some of the points I want to say today. To summarize, I can just give you a rundown of the class. We first spoke about, I'll just pull up the verse again. So we were reading from chapter 10, Opulence of the Absolute, which is Vibhuti Yoga. Yoga means to connect. Vibhuti means in reference to the opulences of the Lord. So to connect, this chapter is all about connecting to the Lord via the appreciation of the Lord's opulences. And then this verse is what we were discussing today. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me. To summarize, yes, I explained that Krishna is the generating seed of all existences, that nothing can exist without him. He's the fabric of reality. And then this might be quite a lofty idea for us to understand. So then Krishna then gives his different opulences in this chapter for us to meditate on him, so that we can understand his foundational role. And then I went on to explain how God is both supreme, but He's also approachable in the human form as Krishna. So it's a very holistic view of Krishna, it's a very holistic view of God. And that as devotees we should be able to kind of move through these concepts, that we see Krishna as a very approachable figure, that He's taken this form of human form, a cowherd boy. But He's also supreme, that He's a fabric of reality, He's the essence of everything. So we have to be able to kind of mix through both of these views and get a very holistic view, not just be so much caught up in the abstract concept of his supremacy, the fact that He's the fabric of reality, that we lose touch with his human form. And so then I went on to explain about Arjun's inquiries in the Bhagavad Gita, that they're there to intensify his remembrance and love for Krishna. He asks the question, how can I meditate on you? How can I constantly think of you? And so then therefore Krishna lists his different opulences. And then from that I discussed the importance of asking questions and seeking knowledge through a spiritual master. I quoted the verse, Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina, which is that we should go to a spiritual master because they've seen the truth, therefore they'll be able to impart knowledge unto us. And then I went on to say that true Krishna consciousness, after making such inquiries, we've gained knowledge, we've made inquiries and we've gained knowledge, but true Krishna consciousness requires a change in behavior and character, not just external practices. So then I went on to quote the pastime of Balaram's chastisement of Romaharshan Sutta, emphasizing the need that one must change their character. There's a need for humility. So there's a need for proper conduct alongside that knowledge that we've gained. That he had read so many literatures, se itihas puranani dharma shastrani sarvashaha. He read everything, but alongside that you need proper conduct. And then I went on to explain that advancement in Krishna consciousness basically involves aligning one's inner qualities with outward behavior, like that. So those are some of the points that I wanted to make today. We have some time. We have 15 minutes until Gora Arti. So if there's any questions or any comments, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we can stop there. Does anyone have any questions? No? No questions. Okay, that means Mataji has a question. Okay. Romaharshan Sutta. So I'm just from what I read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that I think it's quoted as Romaharshan Sutta. Let's find it. Yeah, it's good. It's good to clarify. Romaharshan Sutta. Yeah, Romaharshan Sutta. That's how it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. But it's a nice pastime. It's very important to read these different pastimes because you can draw out so many different lessons from them. So on the face of it, it seems quite an intense pastime that Balaram's getting so angry with Romaharshan Sutta that he's blasting him, and then he kills him. And so it's on the face of it, it's quite a gross, it's quite a intense pastime. But then if we look deeper, we can see, okay, what is the meaning behind that? That Romaharshan Sutta, he was reading all these literatures, he was giving class amongst all these sages in the Vajra of Naimisharanya, but his behavior hadn't changed. So that's the lesson for us, that we need to change our behavior alongside reading. So Arjuna makes the inquiry in this chapter. Where does he make the inquiry? He says, how shall I constantly think of you? How shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered? So then Krishna gives all those different ways he can be remembered. Now if Arjuna went away, received all that knowledge of how Krishna is to be remembered, and didn't do anything with that, then that would be completely wrong, right? But that's often what we do, is that we receive knowledge, it sounds good, and then there's sometimes it doesn't, our behavior doesn't quite match up, our actions don't quite match up, like that. So that was the class. Yes, bro.
Then what will we have to do to change our behavior to, for example, instead of, because he didn't change his behavior.
Hmm.
He got, Balaram was very angry. He paid the ultimate price. The whole time.
Yeah. So therefore, I gave those three tips, the 3 A's, that you read with association. So you read amongst other devotees, you come to the temple, and you come to this Bhagavad Gita class, you come to the Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning, and then you read in your own time with other devotees. And because by reading with those other devotees, they have already drawn the essence of the teachings, so they will be able to give that knowledge to you like a shot, right? Like an injection. It's fast acting when the devotees give it to you, and they'll be able to bless you. They'll be able to advise you. They'll be able to guide you, so that knowledge that they're giving is also backed up with the appropriate advice, the guidance, so that you'll be able to navigate your current world problems, your day-to-day life problems or obstacles, like that. And then there's reading with application, so that we kind of assess our own behavior, and we look within. Generally, most people know where they're kind of faltering, where they're lacking, if we look hard enough, if we're honest with ourselves. So if we do that, then we can see, okay, this area needs to be improved, and then we try and apply these teachings. We see how the personalities in the Srimad Bhagavatam are behaving, how in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, how the devotees are having different exchanges, so we can draw out those lessons and try and apply that to our lives. And then the third A was reading with amplification, that when we gain this knowledge, when we read this knowledge, then we try and share the knowledge with others, because when we try and share with others, that's when Krishna will empower us. He will say, okay, this devotee is trying to share my knowledge, so let me allow this knowledge to reach his heart quicker. Therefore, Sanatana Goswami, as I mentioned, he used to pray to Mahaprabhu's feet, that you've given me all this knowledge, but now bless me so that all this knowledge can reach my heart. So like that, the Lord is able to, will bless us, will give us that mercy that the knowledge will reach us when we try and share it with others. So those are some 3 tips like that. But there's also just practically just coming to the temple every day, or as much as you can, and engaging in some service, engaging in the process of bhakti yoga. We can allow that this knowledge to become practical, like that. Are there any other questions or points? Okay, perfect. So we'll conclude there. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. So we'll be having Gaura Arti in approximately 8 minutes. So please do hang around, and then there'll be Mahaprasadam served in the reception area after Gaura Arti. Hare Krishna. I don't know. I didn't tell her.
We will start in any minute. So if you can please get up and just come forward. Thank you. And the lyrics for the aarti are just up there. So please repeat after me when you can. Hare Krishna.
Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Aarti ki jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Kardal Smile. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kashobha. Boliye Kiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kashobha. Janavi Tatavane Jagamanaloba Janavi Janavi Tatavane Jagamanaloba Janavi Tatavane Jagamanaloba Dakine Nitai Chand Bame Gadadara